So today is really focusing around, the accountability and your role in performance management. It's also, talking about the importance of setting clear expectations from day one, which I know you have your PAS sessions and you're pretty much across this. So we'll skim over it because it relates, if you like, to the appraisals or the review process. What we will do, though, is we'll skim over that because it really is important. That's where it starts, okay? And then we'll be contextualising GDG systems and business environment around performance management, what that actually means here, okay? And then we're going to commit to some actions so that, we become better at managing performance. And then finally, I would just like to say, as much as possible with the hybrid scenario, interaction. Like, call me up, ask me questions. Obviously I'll be keeping an eye on time, but I much prefer us to have good discussions and you to put forward what you want to, no matter how relevant you think it is. If you want to say it and talk about it, then that's what we do. Okay? Everyone happy with that? Yeah. Righto. Okay. So just as a little bit of a let's ignite your thinking, what I would like you to do is I would like you, and online people as well, I would like you to have a little think about for 5 minutes, either a recent win in terms of performance, and that can be either somebody individually in your team or it can be your team together, and also, or if you prefer, you can do two or you can do one or the other, a challenge, a performance challenge that you have experienced, either team or individual. And it could even be one that, you're concerned about having a conversation in your review process, which is coming up. How am I going to address that? So have a little think about that. And then we'll share. I just want to see, what you're thinking around what your wins have been, what challenges you have around performance management. Okay.
Our team consistently hitting our target of 100 leads and over. We're in marketing, so really important kind of business KPI there, I suppose. And then just one challenge, dealing with external agencies and companies and them perhaps delaying slightly or changing timelines, meaning we have to be a bit more agile and kind of factor in, contingencies there. So they're my kind of two.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Zoe. Anybody else? Okay, well, let's move to the room. Who have we got? Somebody like to share? Okay, thanks.
So my big win, I think, for my team is how much they care about doing a good job. They genuinely care about doing a good job in everything that they do. They want it to be great, and that the people of GDG. But that also leads into the challenge that I have with a lot of members of my team is they care so much that they become too helpful to other people. They will say yes to helping with anything to make other people happy, sometimes to the detriment of their own work and priorities.
Okay, so can't say no. Would that be right?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Anybody else?
I'll jump in next.
Okay.
I'll start with my challenges. So challenges all around growth.
Right. Okay.
So we talk about clear expectations from day one.
Yep.
Particularly in a smaller department that's grown quite rapidly over the last year or two, the goalposts change and natural people evolve into new positions. They absorb new roles and responsibilities. So that's a challenge. But the performance win, which exactly counters that, is that we do have a greater level of accountability and transparency, particularly in the senior people in the department.
So, having on quite honestly what one involved down with Right, is there something?
Is that?
Yeah, he's just tasting himself.
Sorry, Lisa.
No, that's all good. That's so it's the growth of the team. The
Yeah.
roles essentially can take on new responsibilities and duties.
Yeah.
So that clear expectation does need to adjust with it.
Yeah.
But we counter that with having clear accountabilities and that transparency. So a lot of communication to and fro between the team members about
Yeah.
what's expected.
Okay, good. Clear communication. Okay, excellent. I mean, it is very challenging, and I hear this quite a lot. You know, you're not alone in terms of when there's growth in particular. You know, how do we actually continue to have clear expectations with our staff? Because often they're expected to do more than they thought they were doing, and then that might change. And so it's a real challenge, I think, that a lot of businesses do come across, and particularly with lack of resources where people are expected to do more, you know, so you know, it's a very challenging point around performance management. Okay, have we got anybody else online? Come on. Someone must have something. I think there's 10 of you online. I've only heard from one. No? Oh, okay. Well, as I said, you'll get what you want to take out of this. All right. So I'm going to go back to the room. Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
I was just going to mention the challenge for that growing component was just prioritising key initiatives. We've got lots of key initiatives, and it's prioritising those in a fashion that we can effectively execute well. That's a key challenge. I suppose a win for us over the last 12 months within the marketing team is acknowledging and kind of dividing between brand initiatives and project initiatives, and then trying to kind of clearly identify which side of those sit in.
Brand, and what was the other one? Projects. So this is clearer.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, excellent.
I had something similar in relation to pain points, this growth, but more related to growth of individuals within the team, so pathways. But a big win has been being able to identify a progression pathway for them, and actually being able to initiate that with new staff members coming in. So it's great when you can come up with a plan to obviously satisfy not only the department and the company, but also their personal career growth.
Absolutely. And I mean, more and more, you know, as the generations come into the workforce, that clear pathway is very important. The individual clear pathway. You know, gone are the days where it's sort of sink and swim and see what happens the next day. You know, it's the expectation of the Gen Z generation in particular coming in is very much, I want a pathway. I want to know where I'm going and how I'm going to get there and what success looks like for me, right? So this is why, you know, these formal processes are really, really important to get across and really own as managers. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm sure we've got many more, but thank you for sharing that. So I guess, you know, what I'm hearing, a lot of challenges are coming from growth, you know, in terms of, I know you have grown quite considerably, and again, that's quite normal, but, you know, this is why it's important to do things the right way now and to have systems and processes that actually are tools that equip managers to be able to manage their people, right? And the other reason for that is because it's important to be fair and equitable. And sometime with no process, that can get a little bit grey and then can, you know, feed into a negative culture. All right. Okay, moving right along. So, performance management. What is it? What's performance management?
Assessment of the outcomes against the targets.
Absolutely. Assessment is a big part, against targets, against expectation, for sure. Anyone else?
Alignment with company values, company requirements, company expectations, and how that individual fits with that.
Absolutely. Alignment. It's no good having the expectation and actually the target, but it's not aligned. Whether that's aligned to team, aligned to business objectives and goals, aligned to individuals' career aspirations, right? So alignment is a big one.
Communication.
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between say a manager's expectation, say, and then the employees what they're expecting as well, and making sure that it's aligned. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and so many things can go wrong if there's not clear communication or good communication between, you know, manager and employee or anyone. I mean, communication is key to business, no matter what, you know, but from a people perspective, 100%. Have we got anyone online who would be interested to contribute to this?
Yeah, I was going to say, guiding people to allow them to be successful and work towards targets and outcomes.
Absolutely, absolutely, guiding people, you know, and as managers, it's our responsibility, right, to guide our team and to provide them with tools and direction and guidance to be successful. You know, it's not just an expectation that they've got a job description and they come in and they say they've got the skills and they're okay. So it is part of our role as managers to guide. Excellent. Anyone else? No? Okay, so you pretty much covered a lot of these. So performance management is a continuous cycle. So it's forever on. And I think this is why we all get exhausted sometimes as managers, not only about, you know, being on top of the business and the business objectives, but it's also performance management of our staff and of our team. You know, it's continuous. And so it's all about setting direction and expectations from that day one, you know, and with your PAS meetings, I can see through your process, but you should do that really clearly, which is fantastic. But also, you know, when we're in our annual reviews, you know, it's about really setting that direction and expectations again for the next 12 months, you know, so that will obviously change as well as assess the past 12 months, but that setting direction and expectation and making sure everyone's in agreement is key. Plan and agree, as I said, make sure, you know, there's clear plans in place and we agree, and then enable the performance. So that goes to the piece, is it Ian? Can't see. Yeah. It's the same around, you know, coaching and helping and, you know, allowing, you know, helping, guiding people. So that's what that is about. And then monitoring and checking in. So, you know, the PAS sessions, they are excellent for that, you know, from a more day-to-day, but also, you know, with the bigger picture of what you've set for the annual review, goals and objectives. Yeah. Has anyone got any questions? I think another key thing to remember here is everybody's an individual. right? So while we have systems and processes that we follow that are our guidelines to make sure that we're, you know, following the performance management philosophy here at GBG, we also have to be very attuned to individuals. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Okay. So just some more feedback. Who loves providing feedback to their staff? Yeah? Is that positive or negative or both?
Both.
Both? We all okay with providing feedback? Yeah? And, you know, the philosophy here at GBG is very much around that coaching approach as well, which is wonderful because what that does is it actually, you know, it's a culture of collaboration. And when people feel that they're part of their own destiny, if you like, at work, then they're much more likely to perform. You know, so the coaching philosophy is really, really good and essential in this day and age. I don't think we find many younger generation people that would want to work for us if it was carrot and stick. Yeah. Okay, and then there's the review and evaluation, which I think you said, Sam, and then developing and improving. So that can be in the form of structured training and development. It can be on the job. It can be from the manager, you know, just providing experience, detail, but communicating that and not just assuming they should get it. And then recognition and reward, which is really, really important. Now, most companies, and GBG is the same, I'm sure, a performance review discussion is not a salary discussion. Okay, it's not your salary review. And I don't know about you, but certainly through my career, a lot of people bring it up. It's almost the first thing they bring up, you know. So there's a separate process for that. And that's about when we're going through our appraisal process, it really is all about what people have done in the past and have they performed against their targets, and then what are they going to do in the future and how are we going to help them get there. If someone raises salary review with you, note it, but inform them this is not really the forum for that. There'll be a separate process, but note it in your notes and say thank you for sharing that with me, but don't commit, right? Okay, and then it's a bit of a rinse and repeat, reset, rinse and repeat. But with recognition, don't forget how valuable a thank you and good job is, or just a call out at a team meeting. You know, someone's done really, really well. People like to feel good and people like to be recognised, and that can come in many shapes and forms. Yeah. Has anyone got any questions at this stage? No? Online, any questions? All right.